The wind doesn't howl here. It presses. Cold, flat, indifferent. Like something pushing you back from a door it doesn't want you to open. You're somewhere in the Alaskan interior. Spruce trees in every direction. The sky is the color of old pewter. Your breath fogs and disappears. And then, nothing. Silence so complete it has weight. That's the last thing some people ever experience here. Not a crash. Not a scream. Just the forest. And then gone. Alaska is enormous. Twice the size of Texas. More than half of all federally designated wilderness in the United States sits within its borders. And somewhere inside that wilderness, between Juneau, Anchorage, and Utqiagvik on the Arctic coast, sits a region so consistently associated with disappearance that it has its own name. The Alaskan Triangle. The numbers are not small. Since the early 1970s, over 20,000 people have vanished within its borders. Alaska logs 163 missing persons per 100,000 residents. The national average is 6.5. Search and rescue teams go in. Sometimes they come back empty-handed. Sometimes the search just stops. In 1972, a small Cessna 310 departs Anchorage on October 16, bound for Juneau. On board, House Majority Leader Hale Boggs and Congressman Nick Begich, Begich's aide Russell Brown, and their pilot Don Johns. The weather is rough. Not unusual. But the plane never arrives. What follows is one of the largest search operations in Alaskan history. 40 military aircraft. 50 civilian planes. A search area roughly the size of Maine. They find nothing, not the fuselage. Not a seat. Not a single piece of debris. Not a body. The search is eventually called off. The men are declared legally dead the following year. To this day, the wreckage has never been recovered. But the Boggs case, as strange as it is, at least happened in remote wilderness, in bad weather, over unmapped terrain. That's the one you can almost explain. It's the other ones that sit differently. Michael LeMaitre was 65, competing in the Mount Marathon race in Seward, Alaska on July 4, 2012, a 3.1-mile course up a 3,000-foot peak. He was last seen by a race official 200 feet from the summit. The official asked for his bib number. LeMaitre said 548 and kept moving. He never came back down. Mountain rescue experts, state troopers, search dogs, the 210th Rescue Squadron of the Alaska Air National Guard, they all searched. Not a shoe. Not a scrap of fabric. Nothing. The search area wasn't 325,000 square miles. It was a race course. A known mountain. With witnesses at both ends of the gap where he disappeared. In 2013, experienced pilot Alan Foster, with nearly 10,000 logged flight hours, departed on a routine flight and disappeared from radar 18 minutes after takeoff. The only anomaly recorded before he lost contact was his aircraft descending to 1,100 feet. Neither Foster nor his plane has ever been recovered. These cases share something. Not wilderness. Not bad weather, not bad luck. They share the absence of aftermath. Things go in and leave no mark. Now come the old stories. The Tlingit people, indigenous to southeastern Alaska, have told stories of a creature called the Kushtaka for centuries. The name means, roughly, land-otter man. They are shapeshifters. They approach you looking like kinsmen, people you know, people you trust. But the mechanics of the legend are more unsettling than that. In many stories, the Kushtaka saves a lost person from freezing, not by leading them to safety, but by transforming them into another Kushtaka, distracting them first with otter-like illusions of their family and friends. The person survives. But they are no longer the person. They cannot be reincarnated. For the Tlingit, the cosmological significance of this matters enormously. How you die, when you die, and where your body is found are deeply tied to whether the spirit can return to the clan lineage. A body that is never recovered is a soul in a kind of permanent suspension. Groups of Kushtaka are especially dangerous. They lure victims by mimicking the screams of women or the cries of children. They emit a high-pitched, three-part whistle, low, then high, then low again. Survivors who claim encounters describe voices coming from the trees. Familiar voices. Names being called in a voice that almost belongs to someone they love. What's worth sitting with is not whether the Kushtaka is real. It's what the myth encodes. A creature that looks like someone you trust. That leads you away from safety while showing you the face of safety. That leaves no body. These are not the fears of people who haven't spent enough time in the wilderness. These are the fears of people who have spent all of their time in it, across generations, and kept encountering something they couldn't explain. Myths that endure in harsh environments tend to carry empirical weight. They survive because they describe something real, even when the description sounds impossible. There are geophysical explanations worth considering, too. Magnetic declination in the Alaskan interior can throw a compass off by as much as 30 degrees. 30 degrees. A person navigating by compass in dense forest, off by 30 degrees, can walk in a wide confident arc that they believe is straight, and end up miles from where they intended, in terrain that was never part of the search grid. That's not paranormal. That's physics. And it's documented. Aircraft instruments are vulnerable to the same effect. A pilot who trusts their compass over their altimeter, in fog, over unmapped terrain, the math on that ends badly and leaves no obvious cause. The terrain itself swallows evidence in ways that feel almost deliberate. Glacial crevasses hidden beneath snow fields. River systems that run cold and fast enough to carry a body hundreds of miles before it surfaces, if it surfaces at all. Dense rainforest canopy that closes over a crash site within months. These are real mechanisms. They explain a lot. But they share the same flaw as every clean rational account of this place. They don't explain the clustering. If Alaska's disappearances were simply a function of hostile wilderness, they distribute more evenly across the state's enormous area. Instead, they pool. Here. In this triangle. In numbers that don't match even the most unforgiving sections of the surrounding landscape. Some researchers have pointed to energy vortex theory, the idea that certain geographic zones concentrate electromagnetic energy in ways that affect both equipment and human perception, causing disorientation, altered decision-making, and a kind of fugue state navigation where people walk with total confidence in completely the wrong direction. It's a theory without rigorous peer-reviewed support. But rescue workers operating inside the triangle have documented their own disorientation. Compass failures. The persistent, sourceless feeling of being watched. Here's the thing about 20,000 people. That's not a statistical outlier. That's a pattern. Patterns have causes. Some of those causes are mundane: terrain, weather, magnetic drift, the brutal indifference of wilderness that doesn't care how experienced you are. Those causes are real and account for most of it. But not all of it. The cases that remain, the ones with no debris, no remains, no trail, no signal, those cases exist in a category that no current framework closes cleanly. The Tlingit understood something about this place that the rest of us are still trying to articulate. They didn't call it unexplained. They gave it a face, a name, a behavior pattern, a warning system. They said, it looks like someone you know. It calls your name. Don't follow it. 20,000 people went in. Some of them never left a mark. Here's the question that stays. It's not about what's taking people. It's simpler. More personal. If the Kushtaka legend is the shape that centuries of observation gave to something real, something in the landscape that pulls people away from the living and into whatever comes after, then what does it mean that the first thing it shows you is someone you love? If you want to keep exploring the dark, unmapped corners of our past where history blends into the unexplained, subscribe, share this case with someone who loves a mystery, and leave your own theory in the comments below. Did the wilderness claim them, or did they follow a voice they trusted? Stay curious. Stay weird.